Hey all, getting on to week four's review. This was about the atmosphere this week. Initially, what we did was we went over the layers of the atmosphere. So there was a chart right from ground level up into outer space, and we reviewed those as well as some of the elements that make them distinct. So the temperature decreasing up until the tropopause, and then moves in the stratosphere and moves back, and so the temperature was an interesting one. And then we went through some of the other, or one of the bigger uh, issues that we have in the atmosphere, and that's the ozone depletion process. So we talked about ozone and what it does for us, and how humans essentially have been able to ruin that through different chemical processes that end up harming us back down here on Earth. Probably the most important part of the atmosphere is really the sun's rays and how they get through and are able to influence the temperature here on Earth. So we talked about wavelengths and a bit of the physics or science behind wavelength and heat, and how hot objects emit very short wavelength things, and longer wavelengths is generally regarded as something that isn't as hot. And we went through the sun versus the earth and how that works. Some of the other important ideas we covered around the sun was scattering. So the sun's rays are coming in through insolation, the incoming solar radiation, and are hitting some objects in the air and making them scatter either way. And that's what gives us the color of blue in the sky, and also what makes the clouds appear white to us on Earth. We talked about absorption. So not only is it items or particulate matter that's floating or suspended in the air that's able to absorb these rays and heat the Earth from above, but also absorbing from the ground by the sun through either ground cover or through cement, and that eventually leads to some temperature change here on Earth. We talked about albedo, the albedo effect, and reflection, and how the sun's rays are in some ways reflected up by snow back up to where they came from, or outer space, and how receding ground cover or snow cover, ice cover, is going to affect the temperature regulation that way. And finally, the last thing we talked about with as it went with the sun was the net energy equation, the net radiation balance equation, which is an important idea. And really that's the measure of how much insolation is being brought to the Earth, how much of it's being emitted back out, how much of it's being absorbed by particulate matter and heating the Earth again. And the whole equation is really what leads us to the net balance energy equation. I've got a bit of cold. The temperature cycles, we went through 2 temperature cycles, and essentially it was the yearly seasonal temperature cycles and how the tilt of the Earth and how it moves around the sun is able to determine that, and also the diurnal temperature cycle. So how throughout a period of one day, how heat is affected, absorbed, released over the course of the day, and where the temperature falls as it relates to time of the day. We talked about air quality, what makes air quality, the inverse temperature process that happens as smog is absorbing the sun's rays and making the Earth a little bit cooler. We also talked about 3 alternate wind or atmospheric energies that are available to humans, and it's important, again, same as last time, to be able to understand how those work. So the first was wind and wind technology. The second was passive solar, so the idea of being able to capture the sun's energy, not actively, but passively through house design and smart design. And the last one was solar electricity and how solar panels work and how they're able to produce energy for us in the future. So that was week 4 and an overview of the atmosphere. Good luck studying.